Hey, so in this video, I will teach you what radical acceptance is and what are the steps to radically accept something. Radical acceptance is a powerful practice of embracing reality as it is completely and without reservation. Radical acceptance is not only in your mind that you accept something, but also in your soul, in your heart, and in your body fully. You stop fighting reality. You let go of the belief that things should be different than what they are right now. You release resentments. You stop hating other people who are not on board with what you want, and you let go of the bitterness and the resistance. So, we will explore the concept of what is radical acceptance in this video, what it involves, the challenges it presents, and how it can be practiced effectively. What are the steps to radically accept something? So, radical acceptance is fully in accepting reality as it is. The term radical means going to the root, to the origin of something, implying that the acceptance is total and complete, thorough and absolute. It's not about giving up or cognitive acknowledgement of the facts, but it's about emotional and physical acceptance as well. It means that you accept in your mind that the things are the way they are. You feel the acceptance in your heart, and your body relaxes into acceptance, letting go of control, tension, and resistance. At its core, radical acceptance is about letting go of the struggle against reality. It's about stopping the mental and emotional tantrums that come from wanting things to be different. So it's the practice of accepting that reality is exactly as it is, even if it's not how you want it to be. It does not mean that you approve of or condone reality. It simply means that you stop fighting against it. You stop obsessing about it. You stop resisting it. You accept life on life's terms. So let us understand what needs to be accepted. Number one, reality and life as it is. The facts about the past need to be accepted. The facts about the present are the truths, even if you don't like them. Evidence has presented itself accepted. Radical acceptance requires you acknowledging what has happened. What is happening, regardless of your preferences and desires. Your intentional energy can affect reality, but trying to control reality is the opposite of radical acceptance. So pull the energy back when you're obsessing about making something happen and put that focus on yourself, on things that you can control and are yours to manage. The second thing that we need to accept is that there are limitations on the future. While we all have hopes and dreams and our inner child and our heart wants what it wants, radical acceptance involves recognizing that there are realistic limitations on what future can hold and what is under your control. Accepting these limitations does not mean that you're giving up on your goals. It just means you're being realistic about what's possible and what is not possible. Number three, you accept that everything has a cause. Every painful event and suffering has a reason and a cause, and radical acceptance involves recognizing that these things don't just happen randomly. There are factors and circumstances and reasons and meaning beyond your current knowledge and control. So you accept that there are things that you cannot see. Number four, you accept radically that life can be worth living even when it's painful. Radical acceptance acknowledges that people and circumstances are imperfect, but life can be meaningful and worth living. It's about you finding value, meaning, purpose, growth, despite the suffering. Then, reality, rejecting reality, understand that rejecting reality will not change it. When we refuse to accept reality, we don't alter the facts. Instead, we prolong our own suffering. This resistance to reality can manifest in many ways. We get stuck in unhappy emotions, in resentment, bitterness, sadness, shame, and other painful emotions. Acceptance doesn't eliminate these emotions, but it changes our relationship with reality. It changes our relationship with these emotions. Acceptance may bring sadness initially, but it is often followed by a deep sense of calm and relief because you're flowing with the current of life, right? So changing reality requires acceptance first. Before we can change anything in our life, we must accept it first as it is. It may seem paradoxical, but it's true. Acceptance does not mean resignation. Acceptance does not mean resignation. It means you're seeing things clearly so you can take informed, effective action. Number two, pain is unavoidable. You have to remember that in life, pain is a natural part of life. Life happens, right? It's an inevitable part of human experience. But by rejecting reality, you are turning that pain into suffering. Suffering arises when we resist or deny our pain rather than accepting it. Refusing to accept reality will keep you stuck. When we refuse to accept reality, we trap ourselves in a cycle of negative emotions. We may feel stuck in a loop of sadness, rumination. Why me? Why did they do this? Bitterness, unable to move forward. Accepting that person is who they showed me to be. Acceptance is the key to breaking free from this bitterness that you're stuck in. And acceptance will bring you peace. While acceptance may lead to feelings of sadness and grief, it also brings a deep sense of peace. When we stop fighting reality, we stop wasting energy on resistance and begin to find calmness in the midst of life's challenges. So, I want you to understand what radical acceptance is not. So far, I've explained what radical acceptance is and what it involves. And what it's not the same as approval. It's not the same as passivity or resignation to life. It's accepting reality does not mean that you approve of it or you suddenly are on board with it or you will not take steps to change it. But radical acceptance is acknowledgement about what is without becoming complacent or emotional or charged up about it. Radical acceptance is not approval. You can accept reality without approving of it. For example, you can accept that a loved one has passed away. There's nothing you can change about it. You radically have to accept it over and over and over again, right? So radical acceptance is not approval. You can accept reality without approving of it. For example, you can accept that somebody is behaving the way they are, even though you don't accept it, you don't appreciate it, you don't approve of it, but you've accepted that this is their behavior, this is who they say, who they are showing us to be that they are, and I accept that truth. And radical acceptance is not passivity. It's not that you don't take action to change things. You just passively lay down and let life happen to you. It means that you accept what cannot be changed and you focus on what can be changed. Radical acceptance is not against change. On the contrary, radical acceptance is often the first step towards meaningful change. By accepting reality, you free yourself from the emotional turmoil that is keeping you stuck, allowing you to make room to take the next step, right? So, what are the steps to radically accept something? Practicing, so these are the steps, right? Radical acceptance is a practice that requires conscious effort and commitment. And this is a step by step guide to help you cultivate radical acceptance in your life. Number one, observe that you're fighting reality. The first step in practicing radical acceptance is to notice when you're fighting reality. This might manifest as thoughts like, shouldn't be this way, I can't stand this, I want to change. I want to change this is more of a change oriented thought, but just fighting it and disapproving of reality is when you are fighting reality. Pay attention to the signs when you are resisting reality, such as feelings of anger, resentment, bitterness, frustration, right? And then number two, remind yourself what the reality is. The reality is what it is. Once you've noticed that you are resisting reality, the next step is to remind yourself the reality is what it is. It is not about giving up or resigning yourself to a bad situation. It's about acknowledging the facts of the situation. You might say to yourself, this is what happened. This is the way things are. I see them clearly. I accept what is happening. You don't accept, you don't approve. You may or may not approve of it, but you accept that this is what's going on in the present moment. Number three, you acknowledge the causes of reality. Recognize that there are causes for the reality you are experiencing. So every event, even painful ones, has a cause. By acknowledging these causes, you can begin to understand how things came to be the way they are. This understanding can help you let go of the idea that something should be different. It should have happened differently, right? Once you understand that A happened because of B, you stop to you stop fighting it. That once you know that this is a natural occurrence of what happened, and here we are today. Number four, practice accepting with your whole entire self. So radical acceptance is not just a mental, cognitive yes, but it involves your whole mind, body, and soul. So when you accept reality, you need to involve your inner child, your inner critic, your wise, loving higher self. So this might involve having an inner family meeting, or accepting, or having a self-talk, journaling, or practicing in inner dialogue to really accept that which you are fighting. Number five, list the behavior you would do if you accepted reality the way it is. List the thoughts, the feelings, the behavior, the choices, the actions that would occur if you had accepted reality the way it is. So imagine, how would you behave if you had already accepted the facts of a certain situation? What actions would you take? What behaviors would you change? So make a list of these behaviors and start engaging in them, even if you don't fully feel like you're on board, you've accepted reality the way it is, but you can start acting as if you've accepted reality. And this can help you begin the process of true radical acceptance. Then number six, cope ahead of the situation. There are certain unacceptable events that happen in life. So sometimes the idea of accepting certain realities can feel overwhelming. In these cases, it can be helpful to cope ahead. Imagine yourself accepting what seems unacceptable to you. Rehearse in your mind, what would you do if you accepted the situation the way it is occurring? So mental rehearsal and visualization can really help you come to terms with the reality and behave in the manner of radical acceptance when the time comes, right? And soothe your body. The next tip that I would give you is to soothe your body as you practice acceptance. As you work on accepting reality, take steps to soothe your body. This might involve taking a warm bath, tea, journaling, talking to your supportive, safe people, drink and then or laying down, focusing on your breath, just soothing your body as you radically accept what is going on will make it easier for you to take steps to radically accept something. Then allow your emotions to arise. So, when you accept something, it does not mean that you will not feel contradictory emotions. In fact, accepting reality brings up very strong emotions of sadness, disappointment, grief, right? So allow these emotions to arise. Give yourself permission to feel them. Don't try to push them away or suppress them. Instead, sit with them, offer kindness and compassion to yourself, accept, right? So sitting with your feelings is one way to allow your feelings, and then your feelings will decide to release themselves or to stay with you and help you, guide you, right? So just allow your feelings and feel your feelings and don't judge your feelings, and then accept. Finally, radical acceptance is about it involves accepting that there are always things that we cannot control or change, and we as our higher selves get to choose our peace over fighting the reality, right? So it's a continuous process of turning your mind to acceptance. You observe when you're not accepting something, you make an inner commitment to accept that reality, you keep turning your mind to acceptance, and then mind, body, and soul acceptance. You develop a plan for catching yourself in case you start fighting reality again. So let me give you an example. So if you are working on accepting the loss of a loved one, that's so painful. Losing a loved one is one of the most powerful, most painful experiences we go through. Radical acceptance involves acknowledging the reality of the loss, even though it is deeply painful. This might involve saying to yourself, "This is what happened. My loved one is gone, and I cannot change that." By accepting the reality of loss, you can begin to grieve and feel the pain and start your healing process. And then another example is accepting chronic illness. Living with chronic illness is very challenging. Radical acceptance involves allowing the reality of your condition and limitations it brings. This might involve saying, "This is my reality. I have this illness and it limits what I can do." By accepting your condition, providing compassion to yourself, by accepting it, you can focus on managing it and finding ways to live a fulfilling, meaningful life. Then the third would be accepting a difficult relationship. Sometimes we find ourselves in relationships that are very difficult or painful. So radical acceptance involves acknowledging the reality of the relationship, including its limitations and challenges. It involves saying to the other person, it might involve saying to yourself first, "This is how things are. This relationship is difficult. I cannot change the other person. I cannot change the relationship all by myself." So, by accepting the reality of the relationship, you can make a decision about how you want to move forward or what you want, whether it involves setting boundaries, seeking support, making changes, right? So, and now I'll leave you with certain journaling reflection questions that you can do when you're in the process of trying to radically accept certain situation. You could radically accept that your family of origin was not healthy. Radically accept that the world is stressful and unstable. You can radically accept a certain person's behavior as they're showing it, right? You can radically accept reality as it unfolds, even if you're grieving it. So reflective questions for practicing radical acceptance. Number one, what areas of my life am I resisting or fighting against reality? How is this resisting affecting me and my health and my well being? So, write the answers to these questions in your journals. Number two, What would it look like for me to fully accept reality in these areas? What changes might I need to make in order to fully accept the reality in this area? So, what am I fighting? What would it take for me to fully accept the reality? Number three, what emotions come up for me when I think about accepting reality? How can I sit with these emotions and offer myself kindness and compassion? Right? So, if you are saying that, oh, this is a difficult person to be in a relationship with, and I might have to make some changes, so a lot of emotions come up, right? Insecurity, anxiety, attachment issues, grief, sadness, loneliness. So when you think about, so the third reflection question would be, what emotions come up for me when I think about accepting this reality? How can I sit with these emotions and offer myself kindness and compassion? Number four, what are some specific areas, specific actions I can take to practice radical acceptance in my daily life? What are some actions that you can take to practice radical acceptance in your daily life? Number five, how can I remind myself to turn my mind into acceptance when I find myself resisting reality? So, how can you soothe yourself, guide yourself, nurture and nourish yourself, and explain it to yourself? How can you talk to yourself, right? So you can turn it over. So you can turn over to radical acceptance. Number six, what support do I need as I work on cultivating radical acceptance? How can I seek out that support? Right? So, who do I need to talk to? Who would understand? Where can I go to meet my need and to continue the process of radical acceptance? So, in conclusion, radical acceptance is a powerful tool for transforming your relationship with reality. By fully accepting what is, you can reduce suffering, find peace in midst of your pain and suffering, and create a foundation for meaningful change. While radical acceptance is not always easy, it is a practice that can be cultivated over time with patience, commitment, and self compassion. As you continue to practice radical acceptance, remember that it is not about giving up or resigning yourself to a bad situation. It is about clearly seeing things clearly, acknowledging what cannot be changed, then focusing your energy on what can be changed, managed, improved, and with consistent practice, radical acceptance can become a source of strength, resilience, inner peace, helping you navigate life's challenges with grace and wisdom. So, my prayer for you is, may you let go of all that does not serve you. May you put your energy, attention to all that you can change and is yours to manage.